Rogers TV. Welcome back to the show. I think we're going to surprise you in this next segment because when I say to you, what do you think sustainable publishing is, you may have something in mind that perhaps isn't necessarily true. My next guest is here to talk about that and more. I'm joined by Michel Weatherall, Editor-in-Chief at Broken Keys Publishing and Press. Welcome back. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Congratulations on your Faces Magazine award, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
How many now? You've won, what, 4 or 5 now?
I think 5 or 6.
5 or 6. You see, you can't even keep count. But congratulations. And all in the family. Your wife won an award, your daughter won an award, and yourself as well. I mean, I mentioned sustainable publishing, and I think it's a really interesting topic because, as I mentioned off the top, Michel, I don't think a lot of people are thinking about it the way perhaps we're going to discuss it today, right?
Yeah, it's very counterintuitive. I have a 37-year background in the print and publishing industry, and I spent the better part of 4 decades listening to the misinformation a lot of people believe, and it's that books, paper mills practice clean-cutting forestry, and they don't. They practice sustainable forestry, which means for every 3 trees they pull out, they plant 4. And in the States, there's been a 36% increase in the forests because of the paper mills.
Interesting.
So when we say books literally breathe oxygen in the atmosphere, they do. And the other side of that coin is the opposite. And with the ebooks is you need a cell phone, an e-reader, a laptop to read your ebook on. And the worst thing about those is the lithium batteries. And lithium it's brutal for the environment. 95% of lithium batteries aren't recycled, they go into landfills.
Right.
So you look at, that there's this perception that the print book is bad for the environment and the ebook is good, but the truth is just the opposite of that.
Yeah, and I mean, this conversation is going to be continuing to grow, right? With, and I know this is a totally different topic, but with the all-in on electric vehicles and so forth, I don't think enough people are doing their research to realize how lithium's mined, and as you said, where is it going afterwards? There's a huge discussion on that. But you personally have decided you're out of the ebook business now, is that right?
We decided as of March, officially today, because we're live on air saying it, we will no longer be publishing ebooks.
Okay.
There are exceptions, like technical manuals for a person that's going up. They're not going to carry manuals. If there is a place for it, I'm not trying to demonize ebooks, but for the most part, we're not going to publish them anymore. It's going to be print editions and print-on-demand only editions. All of our children's books titles have always been print only.
Okay,
because we've always, I mean, we never really promoted that, but we've always believed the experience of reading a book with a child, it's interactive. It's about being with grandma and grandpa, or mom and dad, or brothers or sisters. There's something about sharing that with it and the textile of it. But they're all going to be sustainable publishing as well, because they always have been for us.
What about the response from the authors you work with? What is the response
so far,
been like?
I mean, it's early days right now. So far we've had, most are on board. We've had one, Mike Sadava, out in Vancouver, his book is Troubled Waters, and it's a ecological thriller. They create this bacteria that eats plastic in the oceans, and it gets free and things go bad.
Okay.
But he was published last year, and he wants to actually go with that. So his title with the ebooks are now going to be removed. It's going to be solely print and print on demand.
Interesting.
And that's one of the things we said is we're not going to go back on previous published ebooks and renege on them.
Right.
Unless the author wants it. And some do. Some actually figure, let's go with this.
Does audiobooks fall under this category at all?
It's a good,
that's an interesting one, right? Yeah.
I guess ultimately to some degree it would, in the sense that you need to listen to your audiobook through a device.
Right.
But it's not fair to say that, because generally you're going to be listening through your phone, and you're going to have your phone whether you're reading or not reading anyway. So it doesn't really play into that too much.
Right.
Or you could be listening through your car. I know a lot of people do that when they drive.
Yeah, absolutely. What about bookstores? Are there any bookstores that are sort of
we are
going this route?
Right now, I got to think of the proper name of the Books Better Bookstore. They're in Carleton Place. They are on board with sustainable publishing. We're going to be approaching a lot of other ones. The criteria is very simple. They need to not sell ebooks. not sell e-readers, and they need to have a sustainable publishing title on the floor.
Okay.
That's it. There's no fees. They get a poster, they get the logos, they get to promote on their social media accounts, and we're going to go that route. It's probably going to be limited to local bookstores just because of the nature of who sells what.
Yeah, I can
But
see that. That's understandable.
I do think they're up in the rise anyway.
Yeah, and you're right. And what about you're working pretty specific a lot is local. The authors that you've brought on board, there's a ton of different, like so many talented authors that can't get published. Working with you changes that in what way? Like, I'm just thinking, if an author is watching now and they've been struggling to get published, tell me about working with you.
We offer, obviously we do publishing, we also do print.
Right.
And both. I mean, if you are going to get published through us, obviously we're going to work with you getting the printing done. But in some cases, we can do exclusively print. So you could technically self-publish, and we can get the printing taken care of for you, so that it's not always one or the other. You can get a bit of both worlds. We're trying to find the best fit for you, because in some cases, there's an author we have coming up that has it's a learning book. The market, I don't think we could bring much more to her market. She has her own contained market.
Right.
So we would provide her the printing services for that, which benefits her more so. And I've said this before, I believe there's a book in everyone. And there's a reason I think everybody should, don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more difficult to work with some of those big publishers. You literally have to be a bestseller already before they even look at you anymore,
and that's one of the challenges. A lot of them is their model. It works if you're a Stephen King. Yeah. But it doesn't really work for anybody else. And I don't want to say their day is done, but I think with the advent of the new technology, the print on demand, the e-books, the market's changing. Yeah. So there's a lot more people can get in, and rightfully so. There's an immense amount of talent here. For sure. And people are getting turned away, and where do they go? It's nice to be able to, to go to somebody like this guy right over here. You can find out more by heading over to brokenkeyspublishing.com to reach out. You can find him on social media as well. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.
This guy's just